The body of Gabby Petito has been found in Grand Teton National Park, and a key person of interest, Gabby's fiancee Brian Laundrie, is nowhere to be seen. The missing person case that has gripped the nation may now be a murder investigation. Here's everything we know so far about Gabby Petito. Starting in July, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were traveling across the country and living out of their van. The journey was meant to be an enjoyable summer excursion full of national park visits and time spent together. The couple's idyllic life of travel, though, was not without serious bumps in the road. Police in Moab, Utah said that on August 12th, Gabby and Brian had been in some sort of altercation, even though, quote, they reported they are in love and engaged to be married. Police questioned both Gabby and Brian at the time, but ultimately no one was arrested and no charges were filed. Authorities concluded that it was more of a mental health crisis than a domestic assault, with Gabby as the supposed aggressor and Brian as the supposed victim. But one 911 caller from that same day reported that he witnessed a very different story, a domestic abuse incident. The caller said that a man had been hitting a woman.
Grant County Sheriff's Office.
And I'd like to report a domestic dispute. We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. And then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
A week after that incident, Brian and Gabby posted a video to their YouTube account, announcing that their new lifestyle would be permanent. The video description read, in part, "After our first cross-country trip in a little Nissan Sentra, we both decided we wanted to downsize our lives and travel full-time." But things took an even stranger and darker turn just a few days later. Gabby, who was usually very active on social media, suddenly went silent. The last post on her Instagram account appeared on August 25th, but now there are questions about who really posted that photo. And around August 27th, Petito stopped communicating with her family, and the pair stopped posting to social media altogether. On August 30th, Petito's family received the last text from Gabby's phone. It read simply, "No service in Yosemite." Laundrie got back to his parents' home in Northport, Florida on September 1st, but Gabby wasn't with him. Another 10 days passed during which the Petitos, who live in Suffolk, New York, were still unable to reach their daughter, Gabby. On September 11th, the family filed a missing person report. According to the local police department in Florida, officers had no luck speaking to the Laundrie family. The officers were, quote, essentially handed the information for their attorney. On September 16th, the shell-shocked Petitos wrote a letter to the Laundrie family, begging for help with finding their daughter. "Tell us if we were even looking in the right place," they said. "All we want is for Gabby to come home. Please help us make that happen." The next day, on September 17th, the Laundries told police that they hadn't seen their son Brian for 3 days. Local authorities and the FBI officially kicked off a search, even though Brian was not yet wanted for a crime. 50 officers started looking for Brian in the massive Carlton Reserve in Venice, Florida, and the FBI started doing ground surveys in Grand Teton National Park. So no one knew where Gabby was, and it seemed very strange that the only person who might know her location chose to go silent. But law enforcement had a few leads. A TikTok user said that she and her boyfriend had met Brian in the north part of Grand Teton. He'd allegedly offered them $200 for a ride out of the park.
He approached us asking us for a ride because he needed to go to Jackson. So I said, hop in. He hopped in the back of my Jeep. But before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride. 10 miles. So that was kind of weird.
And in late August, a family of YouTubers had been recording their journey through Grand Teton. After the mother heard about Gabby's missing person case, she checked their GoPro footage. And sure enough, they had passed a white van matching the description of Brian and Gabby's vehicle. Finally, on September 19th, the Petito family received horrible news. Not too far from where that family had driven past the white van, the FBI discovered human remains that matched Gabby's profile. The next day, Brian's parents were questioned in their home by the FBI. Officers then executed a warrant and searched the home for hours. Brian is still missing, and the police are searching the now closed nature reserve. Police are also investigating a trail cam photo showing what appears to be Brian walking through a wooded area in the early morning hours of September 21st. As multiple experts have described, finding Brian may prove difficult since he had a very long head start. But police are still combing the nature reserve, using drones and bloodhounds trained to search for Brian's scent. Even before we have a complete picture of what seems to be a tragic situation, the media are already politicizing the story. The day after authorities found the body, MSNBC's Joy Reid said that people only care about Gabby because of racism.
But the way this story has captivated the nation has many wondering, why not the same media attention when people of color go missing? Well, the answer actually has a name: Missing White Woman Syndrome.
So that's where we are now. This story began with everyone wondering where Gabby Petito was. And while that question has unfortunately been answered, now a bigger question remains. Where is Brian Laundrie? And what does he know about Gabby's final moments? We'll be tracking this active story as it continues to unfold. I'm Cabot Phillips with the Daily Wire. Thanks for watching.